Yes, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. This is the show that keeps you up to date with everything that is happening in both Gaelic football and hurling. And we are here today, guys, to preview this weekend's All Ireland qualifiers. It is round two. Some big games happening this weekend. Mayo are playing down. Of course, you've got Monaghan playing Fermanagh as well. A host of games to keep your eye on this weekend that could be of interest. There could be some surprises. There could be some shocks along the way as well. So more than ever, guys, do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I do appreciate a lot of the people who have been subscribing recently and commenting and liking and all that good stuff. So yeah, if we could keep that going, I would very much appreciate it. But without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into it. So first of all, we have Antrim taking on Kildare at Corrigan Park in Antrim. There was some speculation as to where this game was going to be played. Was it going to be played at Antrim? Was it going to be played at Kildare? As far as the last thing I've seen, it does look like it's going to go ahead at Corrigan Park, which I think is good for Antrim. It's good for their fans. This is the, I think, first time in 4 years they're playing in the second round of the qualifiers. And I tell you what, they looked very good in their last game against Louth, winning by 2-15 to 1-11, I believe it was. Matthew Fitzpatrick getting a goal in that game. Patrick McBride as well looked very good. And this Antrim team are good. You know, they're not a defensive side like a lot of the teams in Ulster. Antrim like to play football. They like to get the ball down. I think over the years it's probably gone against them in many ways, which I think is harsh, because obviously when you do play that brand of football, when you come up against a quality side, like for example when they play Tyrone, very more than often they will get beaten by quite a high margin. But look, listen, this Antrim team, they know how to find the net. They hit 2 goals against Kildare, 2 goals against Tyrone as well. So, and Patrick McBride in the midfield really impressed me in their last game. But to be perfectly honest, I don't see them beating Kildare. Kildare for me, they weren't as bad as, I'm not sure. It's a hard way to look at it. They got beaten by 15 points against Dublin, but I think they were only 4 or 5 points down at half time. And they did show signs of life in that game. Adam Tyrrell, Ben McCormick, of course Neil Flynn has been very good for this Kildare team. You can't really judge the Kildare team off losing to Dublin. That could happen to every team that comes up against Dublin this year. Maybe not by that 15-point margin, but certainly in Leinster it is very possible. So I am going to go with Kildare to win this game. I think the style of football that will be played will suit Kildare, and I feel like they will run out winners in the end and just have a bit too much for Antrim. Another game is Derry facing Laois at Owenbeg. Derry having the home advantage in this game, which could be critical. Very intrigued to see how this game goes, because I do have both sides very even in my opinion. Derry, they absolutely dismantled Wexford in their last game, winning by 18 points. Whether that was Derry being extremely good or Wexford being really poor, we don't really know too much. But you can't really take too much away from this Derry side, because they've had a great year. They won Division 4, winning every game. They showed a lot of promise in their game against Tyrone. At one stage, it looked like they nearly were going to win that game. And look, listen, Derry could be a real banana skin for a lot of the big sides this year in the qualifiers, and they could be a side to really keep your eye on. And I do seriously mean that. Shane McGuigan, Kieran McFell and the side, especially Shane McGuigan, he has been outstanding for Derry this year. You're going back into the defence with the likes of Brendan Rodgers. The way he recycles the ball and moves it into the midfield, I think is absolutely key. Laois, of course, on the other hand, we know the way they like to play. They do play at times that quite defensive style of football. They like to hit the ball long to the likes of Donny Kingston and really try and get in behind that Derry side. But to be perfectly honest with you, with the home advantage being with Derry, with the fact they carry the momentum and the fact that they had a very good game against Tyrone when they played at home, I'm going to go ahead and say that Derry wins this game by 2 points. I could be wrong on that, but I just have a sneaky feeling that Derry are going to be the ones to actually get the victory and get the points, or the win I should say, in the process. Another game, of course, speaking of Tyrone, they will be travelling to Longford for their game. This should be another interesting game as well. In particular, Longford, who showed a lot of promise in their first game against Kildare, when that game ended up in a draw. In particular, David McGueeney, I think has been outstanding for them. And of course, Gary Rogers as well has looked pretty good for Longford. But coming up against a Tyrone side that did it in the playoffs, or sorry, the qualifiers last year, you would very much fancy them to go ahead and do it again and at least get to the Super 8s. I'd be highly surprised if they didn't. I still think they've got a lot of quality players to bring off the bench, of course, and they should really run out winners. I mean, they weren't great in that game against Donegal, of course. I feel like the style of play by Donegal really caught Tyrone off guard, but certainly Tyrone, this should be a comfortable 4 to 5 point victory, in my opinion. Another game, Leitrim are facing Clare. Leitrim getting the home advantage again, just like they did against Wicklow, which I think is crucial in many respects. And I feel like this is another interesting game to keep your eye on, because it is a closer game than I feel like it could be in many ways. I feel like if Leitrim don't get nervous like they have at a couple of times this season, you can tell Leitrim, they're not quite used to playing at this level. We've seen that when they got to the Division 4 final in many ways, and even in that final league game in Division 4, it is a young side, it is a team that is inexperienced, and Clare could very well take advantage of that. I thought Clare's display against Kerry was good in some respects, but of course Kerry weren't as good as we know they can be. Of course, for Clare, Jamie Malone, Owen Cleary as well. Owen Cleary has been outstanding for Clare this year, so he's a guy to keep an eye on. And as much as I would love Leitrim to win, I do have family connections from Leitrim, so I would love to see them get through to round 3 of the qualifiers. And I think that's the first time in a long time that would happen. It's a huge opportunity for Leitrim, and I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure about this one. I'm going to go with my heart and say Leitrim wins by a point. But in all seriousness, I feel like Clare will probably win that, won't they? Westmeath are facing Limerick. Should be a straightforward win for Westmeath. Limerick showed a lot of quality in that game when they played Tipperary early on in the year. But Cork just absolutely ran through them. And once Cork started building up a bit of momentum, it got very, very tricky for Limerick to contain that play from Cork. So yeah, going away to Westmeath, another decent draw for Westmeath. They faced Waterford in their first qualifier, and they've got a Limerick, so another nice game for Westmeath. And yeah, especially with Jerry Egan, John Heslin as well, you would expect Westmeath to have too much for Limerick, and I do fancy them to run out winners by 4 or 5 points. Moving on, Offaly versus Sligo. Again, should be another straightforward win for Offaly in my opinion. These two did play each other actually on the final league game, and there was a bit of drama at the end in Division 3 I think it was, but certainly you would have to fancy Offaly to go ahead and get the victory. Rory McNamee looked very good when they beat London last time out. So yeah guys, and now we'll dive into the other two games that are probably the big games of this weekend. Monaghan, first of all, are playing Armagh. Monaghan, they need to get going in this championship. They really do, because, we just haven't seen enough from Monaghan at all in the whole course of 2019, in my opinion. They beat Dublin in their first game in Division 1, and everything looked great for Monaghan, following on from a great championship campaign last year where they nearly reached an All-Ireland final. But certainly, this campaign has been poor. They barely avoided relegation, beaten of course by Cavan in Ulster, and barely got past Fermanagh. They were really struggling with that defensive bracket, and to be perfectly honest with you, on another day they could have easily been beat. Armagh are the side coming into this team with a bit of momentum, a couple of games already behind them. They were good in my opinion against Cavan in the last game, but Cavan were just absolutely outstanding. We know Armagh's talent, Jamie Clark of course back in the side, Jarlath Burns as well, so Armagh have a lot of quality, and it's a tough game to call, but you know what, I feel like Monaghan should win by 1 or 2 points. I'd be hugely surprised if they didn't, but at the same time this could easily go to a replay. I certainly wouldn't bet against it. Down are facing Mayo, then of course the final game to talk about. Yeah, guys, I think this will be a tough game to call in some respects. It should be an easy win for Mayo. In terms of quality, we know Mayo should win this game quite comfortably. But it's Mayo, and there's always an upset, there's always a surprise, and you just never quite know with this county. And especially it's a tricky first qualifier to have. I feel like if Mayo were home to like one of the lesser sides, it would suit them. But the fact they have to go all the way up to Down, and play that game. Okay, it's not too far of a travel actually, but still at the same time going away against the side who looked very good in their last qualifier win, and of course did look impressive in some respects when they took on Armagh. So yeah, guys, I am going to go with a Mayo victory. I feel like their experience should show true, and they should eventually see off Down and win by a couple of points. But do let me know, guys, what you thought down in the comments below of what will happen. Personally, I am excited to see what happens with some of these games, especially some of the lesser sides, like the likes of Leitrim, Clare. I think it's great that one of them counties are at least going to be going through to the third round of the qualifiers. And of course, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the likes of Galway join them in the qualifiers. Of course, that won't happen for a while, but it should be interesting nonetheless to see what happens when that draw does happen. So yeah, guys, this is going to be the end of the video. Do hit a like, hit that subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, guys, I will catch you all next time.